Hi, it's Leslie from Leslie's Cookies and Treats. Are you looking for a fun and creative way to impress your Thanksgiving guests? Then decorate this turkey cookie platter with me. All of the supplies and links to the products are in the description. Grab those and let's get to decorating. I started out by sketching a simple hat pattern on this cookie with an edible marker, and then I outlined the sections with black down here at the inside of his hat, and I just used my paintbrush to spread a little bit of royal icing in those areas. And I moved up to the top of the hat and I outlined and flooded that in. And then here we're going to do a wet on wet effect and put in a couple of patches. So I'll quickly use my scribe to settle this icing down, and then I'll grab my orange icing and immediately put a square patch right into the wet black icing. My icing consistencies today are a little bit looser. They're about a 10 to 12 second consistency because I'm going to be doing a lot of wet on wet. And I overshot my square here, so I'm just going to take the black and pipe a little bit on top, and that'll fix that. And then I want to add another triangle over here for another patch with yellow. So we'll just outline and flood that little yellow triangle in, and then we'll move down to a space and go ahead and outline and flood that in as well. Using your scribe to settle the icing down and pop any air bubbles once you've finished. And then set this cookie aside to dry, and we'll move on to the rest of the turkey. So let's start with the pumpkin. So you want to outline this center section here and then the two outside sections, and then we'll go ahead and flood in the outside sections. I'm making this turkey platter for a cookie class that I'm going to be teaching this weekend, and I actually did this on a live YouTube, so the camera is going to go in and out a little bit. I couldn't figure out a way on the live to set the focus so that it would stay in focus all the time. So bear with me a little bit here. So we're going to just flood in those two sections and then set it aside to dry, and we'll move on to the turkey body. So go ahead and outline your turkey body. You want to watch your icing as it's falling, not the piping bag, and lifting your piping bag away from your cookie just a little bit, an eighth of an inch to a quarter of an inch will help keep your lines straight. And then watch as you let them fall next to the edge. And then go ahead and flood this in. And because my icing consistency is a little bit thinner, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge, but instead I'll use my scribe to move the icing out to the edges. And then put that cookie aside to dry. And then grabbing his wing, go ahead and outline and flood in his wing. Again, watching your icing where it's falling. And as you get close to the curves, you might want to keep your piping bag a little closer to the cookie. Then just go ahead and flood that in. And like before, you'll use your scribe or your toothpick to get the icing out to the edge. And then we're going to do a wet on wet effect with this cookie. So grabbing my red icing, I'm just going to make a little wavy line following the top of the wing. And then I'll make another one right underneath it. And that icing will settle all in together so it'll look like just one solid surface when it dries. And then grab his foot and do the same thing with the orange, except for this time we're not going to do a wet on wet effect, we're just going to do it in the orange. So you want to touch down and then lift up your piping bag slightly and then squeeze with even pressure as you drag a line around. And sometimes to change directions, it's easier to do a little curly cue. Otherwise, you can just touch down and then change directions. Then go ahead and flood that in and use your scribe to settle it down. And then go ahead and flood in the other bird wing and the other foot and set them aside to dry. Now let's move on to the bow tie. So just go ahead and outline and flood in the bow tie. Just go ahead and touch down, go around the curve, and then lift up and go to each corner and touch down again as you change the corner and then flood that in. You want to put enough icing in there that you can move it around with your scribe without scraping against the cookie, but not so much that it's going to overflow the cookie. And then use your scribe to settle it down and get it out to the edges. And once the surface is smooth, I'm going to grab my yellow icing and just put some dots right into this bow tie. And then once you're done with the dots, go ahead and set the bow tie aside to dry, and we'll come back later and pipe a big ball in the center. So grab that turkey cookie again, and let's go ahead and outline and put a little squiggle in the middle of the hat band. And then we'll grab our orange icing and give our turkey a nose. Just do a little triangle right here in the middle and then a couple of eyes. Then I just want to put a little highlight in the eyes, so I put a dab of icing on my scribe, and I'm just going to set that down on top of the eye. And then we can come back up to the hat band and pipe right over that squiggle we put down before. That squiggle was so that we wouldn't get craters and to ensure that the hat band would be nice and full and puffy. And as always, use your scribe to settle the icing down. And then set the turkey cookie back aside to dry. And bring back in your pumpkin cookie and let's flood in that last center section. And use our scribe to settle it down and then put that back aside to dry. Okay, grab your feathers. We have 9 feathers to do. We're going to do 3 of each color or each design. So for this one, I'm going to outline and flood it in with the red icing. So just touch down, lift up your piping bag so you get a nice straight line as you squeeze evenly and drop the line at each corner, touching down. And I lost control here, so I'm just going to stop and restart and then touch down again at the end. And a little of my icing went over the edge of the cookie where I don't want it to go, so I'm just going to brush that away with a paintbrush. And then I'm going to flood this in. Again, my icing consistency is about a 10 to 12 second consistency, so I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. Rather, I'm going to use my scribe to do so. And then I immediately want to grab my yellow icing and make a series of rather large dots going down this cookie as evenly as I can. And then I'm going to put another small dot of orange right in the center. And then this feather will be done. Grab your other 2 red feathers and do the same thing to those and set them aside to dry. Then go ahead and grab your orange feather and we'll outline it in orange the same way that we did with the red feather. So touch down, lift up, drag your line, touch down at the corner as you turn, and then touch down again at the next corner. And it helps to turn your cookie turntable if you have one, or maybe you're decorating on a paper plate so that you can turn the cookie so you can see what you're doing and get as close to the edge as you can. Then just go ahead and flood that in like we did before and use your scribe to get the icing all the way out to the edge. And then for this one, we're going to make some stripes. So immediately grab your red icing and your yellow icing and even your brown icing and just make a series of stripes across the cookie, following the same way we did for outlining. Touch down, drag a line, and touch it down. And you'll have a nice little plaid pattern. And go ahead and repeat that for all of the orange feathers and then set that aside to dry and grab your turkey hat again. And we'll just put a quick little belt buckle here and then do the little waddle next to his nose. And then we're going to go ahead and outline his hat. And then we'll flood in that hat brim. Now the yellow icing that you just piped for the belt buckle on the hat brim, hat band will still be wet and it'll blend in a little bit to the black, but that's okay. And that's okay with me, but if you'd prefer to keep it looking really separate, go ahead and put the cookie aside to dry before you flood in the hat band. But if you're okay with it, just go ahead and flood it in now and use a generous amount of icing so it's nice and puffy and use your scribe to settle that down. Once you're done with the turkey, set him aside to dry again and grab your last set of feathers. And I'm just going to outline these and flood them in with yellow. No wet on wet effect, just plain solid yellow. So as I was flooding this in, I went over the edge a little bit, and I'm just going to wipe that away with my scribe. So finish the last 3 feathers and set them aside to dry, and then grab your pumpkin and outline and flood in the stem. And then your pumpkin will be done. Now set all of these pieces aside to dry completely, and then you can come back in and write some words in the patches and add some little white edible paint and make some little stitch marks, and then the turkey cookie will be done. And then I actually decided to use my edible marker and give him some eyebrows as well. Isn't he cute? Okay, let's assemble our turkey. So grab all your turkey bits and your feathers and let's lay them out here and we'll make our turkey cookie platter and we'll be all set for Thanksgiving. He looks so cute when he's all put together. It's almost like I could hear him start to gobble, gobble, gobble already. So now you'll have an impressive Thanksgiving turkey cookie platter that you can share with all your guests. This whole platter only took about an hour to do and then it had time to dry. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support so much. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like and subscribe button and let me know in the comments if you're going to be making a turkey cookie platter for your Thanksgiving dinner. Happy Thanksgiving and I'll see you next time. Bye.